Yeah. Let me drop exclusive game from my exclusive mind. You be out here chasing fame, I stay steady on my grind. Zero diamonds, zero.
Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today we're going to be having an exclusive conversation with exclusive content from Exclusive Minds. I'm your host, Rook, and
Joe.
Let's get right into it.
And we're off.
We're good?
Episode, I don't even know, 73.
How'd this come in my hand?
74?
75.
No.
Am I off? Hold on. Let me see.
I don't think so.
Well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to waste the time on it. But it might be 74 then.
It's one of those things that we never get right.
Well, yeah.
Like, we always like, I don't know what the hell episode it is. I guess that's a good statement to say that we have done so many now that we don't even know what the hell episode it is.
73.
Okay.
So last one was episode 72. We were kind of talking about podcasting, politics, social media,
Yes.
and anxiety attacks. What was the anxiety attack?
Me. I was.
For your presentation.
My presentation at work and then the motorcycle kind of leading.
Gotcha.
And it's so funny. I took the class this week and I had absolutely no anxiety at all and shouldn't have even been there. But
How many people were in the class with you?
I want to say like 12, 8 to 12. No, yeah, like right around 10, give or take.
I know in Pennsylvania it's free, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case everywhere or not.
I don't know about every state, but I mean, Pennsylvania, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's definitely free. And even though I had my motorcycle license, it's still free for me. I can just go and retake the class whenever I want.
Well, that's probably a good thing. To just keep it like, it's like an active.
I mean, it really hasn't changed much since I took it. I guess the last time I took it was 25, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the same thing. I mean, I was only doing it obviously for Noah, and he didn't make it all the way through. But it's just fundamentals and stuff, and it's kind of interesting because the way with a driver's license, you have to go take the test, get your permit, go out on the road and practice for 6 months, then go and actually sit in your car and have the proctor or the teacher make sure you do everything right, and then you're licensed.
Okay.
Right. With motorcycles, it's different, right? You still have to go through the test to get your permit. It's kind of the same thing. They expect that, in the course of time between that and when you actually take the class, you've gotten some experience. But you can go to a DMV and have them set up a time to schedule a motorcycle test where I guess they take you out to the parking lot and make you do some things. And
Is that it?
Or you take this 2-day class, and then once you complete the 2-day class, you get a sign-off by the teacher, and then you are officially licensed to go out. So most people do the class, right? Because it's the best way to do it, because you get 2 days and...
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how, I guess just people don't talk about it, but like you said with the car, you just have a stranger get in your car.
That's it.
And depending on who it is, right? You can get someone who's just a complete douchebag and he's more hard on you. Oh, you went 5 over in the parking lot. I'm not going to give it to you. Or I think I went 5 over in the parking lot and they were just oh, it's a warning. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and more people are just more easygoing with that thing,
I mean, obviously we're all humans, so I mean, you probably have some people you catch on a bad day and others you catch on a good day. But I think generally speaking, the vibe I got was they want you to pass,
for the car or for the bike.
For the bike,
Oh.
and I'm assuming it's the same thing for the car. They got better things to do than try and get you to not pass the test, right? So
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't know. it's just funny. It's just one of those things you just kind of go until.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me?
We weren't recording.
I don't know, actually. It's weird. No, we're not. Well,
Oh, no, what happened?
so I think we are. We don't need to stop and record. Oh, God. I didn't hit the record button on the podcaster, but because I had the mic hooked up to it, it's been recording on this. So I think we're okay. It's just that the pure audio is not anyway. So I think we're okay. If not, the podcast is starting right now, and you missed the whole bullshit about.
It's all good.
motorcycle class.
Episode 73.
Yeah.
No, just
hey,
kidding.
we got it right.
Yeah. No, I saw something in the news, and I would like to.
But
get
no,
you-
so I mean, just to close out on the motorcycle thing.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about it was, is since it's a, where the driver's test is one-on-one, right? You're not going in with a bunch of other people. This is obviously, it's a class of 8 to 12 people, give or take, right? And because of the way they do the licensing, right? It's so funny. There's like this really diverse group of people with different skill sets, right? Obviously, I already have my motorcycle license, so even though I'm just coming back and I'm pretty rusty, right? I know what I'm doing, right? There was a really young kid, he was probably 18 years old, who shows up on a Yamaha big-ass sports bike, right? So clearly he's been, riding bikes for a while, and I don't know if he was like from out of state and he just had to get relicensed, or in fact, he's just, he's been riding bikes since he was 4 years old, but he was clearly very good. And the weird thing is he showed up and he was there for the entire first day. It's a 2-day thing, right? You have to be there both days. He was there the first day and then he no-showed the second day. And I'm like, that was weird.
Yeah. Huh.
Like, because he was going to pass, like,
With
just
flying colors.
no
yeah.
problem, right?
Sure.
And then you had some people there that, like, Noah had never been on a motorcycle, so I knew it was probably going to be a disaster. And he actually really did well, all things considered. Right? I thought it was just going to be a total mess, and I wanted to have someone else I wanted a different perspective because I knew
someone else shepherd him through it.
I knew he would at least listen to somebody, for the first part of it, and he was at least going around in the circle and stuff like that, right, with the clutch and shifting some gears and stuff like that. So I was actually okay. This is pretty impressive. But then he ended up dropping the bike, I think, once or twice, and that's like once you do it, like the second time, they kick you out, basically.
Oh, really?
Safety reasons, all this other shit. So, I mean, I wasn't really surprised that he didn't make it all the way to the end, but it was good, and he actually took it well, and seems like he still is more interested now than ever. But
is he going to do it
there was
again?
other people. I mean, there was at least one woman who clearly has not been on a bike. She's clearly been on a bike, but doesn't have the skills, right? And I didn't stick around to see if they gave her license, but there's no way she passed the test.
So they tell it in front of everybody, like who passed. Oh, you pull them sideways.
We
like you
there's
get the dunce
basically
cap if you fail, kind of thing.
Well, there's basically 4 core skills. So you spend a half a day in a classroom the first day, and then the whole afternoon is on the bike in a field or in a parking lot, just doing core skills. And then the second day, it's classroom work. They give you a 50-question multiple choice test, which is pretty easy. And then the second half is like 3/4 of it's just more training. And then at the very end, you get everybody together and you basically just cycle through these 5 skill tests. It's, I'm trying to remember what it was. Like just showing that you can go around a corner, like you can adjust your speed and that stuff. Weaving, emergency stop. I just took it yesterday and now can't remember what the other ones were. Like a 90-degree turn, not like stopping and turning, but actually making a hard, slow turn. And, I didn't have any problems with any of it. The only thing I did, which was kind of embarrassing, I was like, I hit the hard stop, and it's basically a cone. As soon as you hit the cone, you just slam on the brakes and come to a complete stop. And when I went to hit the front brake, I actually rolled on the throttle. So I stopped and I had my hand on the clutch, which removed power. So even though I was revving the engine super high, I came to the stop, right? So
they're going to say like endoed or something like that.
In theory, I passed it, but it didn't sound good. It was kind of embarrassing. I just laughed. I was like, whatever, who cares, right? Because I already had my license and I was just doing it for fun. But I was like, yeah, that was embarrassing. And it's just because I wasn't used to the bike and I didn't have the right grip and whatever. But
so it sounds like you didn't take your own bike then.
No, you can't.
You can't take your own bike.
They provide. I was on a Honda Grom, which is like a little. It's not a little. It's a 125. It's a little bike, and a lot of them are 200s or 250s, just smaller street bikes. And I wanted the Grom because it's more of a sports bike and it's the closest proximity, because everything else was like Harley Cruiser kind of things. They weren't Harleys, they were Suzukis and lower end, but they were all street cruisers. And I'm like, well, it's not really what I'm running. So let me jump on this Grom. And, they've all been abused, and of course the clutch and the friction zone on this Grom was just non-existent. So it was kind of entertaining and challenging at the same time.
Well, yeah. So even if you like technically failed, they wouldn't take away your existing license.
So everybody there has a permit, which basically means you went to the DMV and passed the 20-question test, and then they issue you a learner's permit for a motorcycle. And then what this class is supposed to do is, if you pass it, they endorse it, send it to Harrisburg, and then in a couple of days you'll get a motorcycle license, or you'll get an updated driver's license that has a Class M thing, which means that you are now officially licensed to go out and drive on the highway or the road.
Yeah. Because you already had one, though. You could, like, if you, let's say you were to, like, fail on that fourth skill, right?
It wouldn't matter to me.
It wouldn't matter, okay.
I mean, I literally could have...
I wonder if they took it away from you, though. Like, they were you're done.
No, I mean...
It's like the thing when you're, like, older in the, like, 70s or 80s, they take away your license or whatever it is. Isn't that, like, a thing?
Yeah, I mean, no, they didn't. None of that.
I'm only busting balls, but...
I mean, I'm assuming that if I went and showed up and was just a complete dick, they would have either kicked me out of the class or who knows. But, I mean... And I took the class, and it was. It's
good to like sharpen up those skills, though. So it's like
it was worth. I mean, trust me, it's worthwhile.
It's probably good to go do those type of things. Even I wouldn't even say. I mean, trust me, probably not for cars, because dealing with the DMV is a nightmare and stuff like that. But if you could just sharpen up those tools, I mean, it's probably not a bad thing. You know what I mean? So sounds good. You overall, would you do it again?
Yeah, I mean, not right away, but
like 10 years from now or 20 years from now, had you.
Sure.
There you go. Well, yeah. Could he go back like next week, for example?
Yeah. I mean, you can take it as many times as you want. In fact, there was a girl who passed the written test, but she failed the driving test the week before. Oh. And if you hear her side of the story, right, it was kind of what you were describing. Like it was a training or a teacher who was just really being a dick about things and didn't explain. Like it's kind of confusing because the cone, right? The hard braking thing. There's a cone, and if they don't explain it to you, right? When we were kind of just doing the practice, I assumed that they wanted you to stop on the cone.
Okay.
Try and get your bike to stop as close to the cone as possible. And what it is they want you to begin braking when you hit the cone.
Oh.
So she was like, yeah, they didn't explain it. So I stopped I started to stop prior to the cone, and they said that I failed the test for that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And the guy even said, if you fail one and you pass the other four, you get 80%, and that's passing grade. So, I look, I don't know her entire story, but she apparently failed the on-road test. And so they allowed her to come back. Like she goes, I just took it last week. I'm back again and redoing. She only showed up in the afternoon for the on the bike thing because she had already passed the written test. So, I mean, I guess they work with you on that. But cool. You can take it as many times as you want. Like, I guess I could literally sign up again and take it tomorrow if I wanted to. But, there's no penalty for failing it. Like, you don't have to, if you fail it, you have to pay for it. None of that, right?
Yeah. That's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. Like, because with the car thing, it's like you get a couple slaps on the wrist if you fail so many times, and it's like you have to retake your permit test or something, or you have to wait 6 months or something of that sort. I don't know necessarily. It's been a while since I've even was in it. But
I think you're right. If you do only have so many times to pass, and then you have to reapply from scratch. It may be the same with this. I don't really honestly know.
Yeah.
Maybe if you do fail it a couple times, you got to go back and. I mean, the only thing to get to this point was literally just going to the DMV and doing the 20 question test, right? Which,
how is the DMV these days? Still the same?
It is. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Like we went to the one in Lancaster. So I mean, it's exactly what you see on television, right? You walk in, you get a ticket, and then you basically wait an hour until they call your ticket. Then you go up and you do your thing, right? To me, it doesn't seem like it's the most efficient thing, but I don't know how else they could do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's been a while since I was at the DMV. Like last time was probably with Hayden to get his, and that was while ago at this point. But
I mean, they crank through the people. I mean, it's not the people working there that are the problem, right? When they get you, they crank you through pretty quick, right? There's a good flow to it, but I think every time we went, we sat basically for 45 minutes to an hour, regardless of when we went and what time. I think the one time was a little shorter, but generally speaking, I mean, I'm guessing if you go on a weekend, it's probably a zoo.
yeah, sure.
But yeah, it's you show up. There's a desk when you first walk in. They hand you a ticket. They ask you why you're here, and then they issue you a ticket. And all the tickets have this like letter. It's like an alphanumeric and then a number. And I think it depends on. Some people are there for just their picture. Some are there for the driver's test. Some are there to get all kinds of
Different
changing names and all kinds of stuff. But it doesn't seem like, if you're there to just get your picture taken, it's quicker. And I don't know. It just, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it's anytime you have to stand there and wait for a fucking hour, it feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I mean, it was an hour, right? So it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, that's not terrible. I mean, I do remember, like, it just being a lengthy process. And I don't know if it was this time or if it was a separate time. But, like, since you're dealing with government workers, it's not like you're dealing with people who are not like people who you probably deal with at work more. So it's like if you show up like late or there's like no flexibility truly. Like if they're saying they're leaving at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, like lights are out, they're out the door. Like it's not like you're sitting there and bullcrapping.
I don't know how that works either. I mean, we weren't there at the end of the day because they closed at 4:30, and I'm like, man, what happens at 4:30? Like if you were in line and 4:30, do they leave? And I'm guessing they all get overtime and they're all happy to stay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it's a whole different world. I know working for like government work versus regular.
Look, I can't say anything bad about the people that were there. Right?
Sure.
I mean, that's clearly not the gating factor. I didn't see anybody like being super lazy or just taking their good old time. I mean, we were there a couple of times, right? Because we had to. It was kind of confusing. Like we went there to get Noah's driver's license, and then we took the test, and it was like you have to get the driver's license thing first before you can get the motorcycle thing. It was like a chicken and the egg thing, and getting it all figured out. So we were there literally 4 times because he didn't pass the test the first time, and had to go back and take it the second time, and then the motorcycle, and then we had to go back again. It was kind of crazy. But we were there like in the course of 2 weeks. We were there like 4 times.
Okay,
and every time that we, talked to the people there, the one woman we had her a couple times, and she actually remembered Noah, which was kind of amazing because I'm like, this woman sees people all day long, and I mean, completely pleasant and nice. Nothing bad to say about them.
Cool.
I mean, generally speaking, it's not the workers that are the issue; it's just the process and
people at the airport would say differently.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know what though? I mean, seriously, I if you just treat people like the way you want to be treated, right? I mean, it's like I always watch the airport. You mention it, and I'm like, these people are just ripping into them like the plane is late or they canceled the plane, and they're ripping into the gate agent who's got absolutely no control over any of that, right? Mm-hmm. Like the flight's delayed, and they're like, screaming at this woman like I missed, or they show up as they've closed the gate. That's the one that I think the most I've seen people actually get angry about, and it's like. The rules are once that door is closed, they can't open it again. They're not allowed, right? And I'm like, man, you just know the rules, right? This is how it is. And they always take it out on the gate agent. I'm like, these people are just there to like kind of get through the motions, and they can't control any of it.
I know it. I agree with you a lot of that. Then there's also like that off chance that. There's also been a fair enough of experience where I've dealt with people that like just give you absolute like attitude for no reason. You're being as pleasant as possible. We were going to the shooting range a couple weeks ago, and we were going around because Trent, he forgot ear protection and eye protection. So we're like going around Dollar General, all this stuff. And this woman at Dollar General, man, she just hated her day. I don't know what the hell's going on. Maybe someone screamed at her. Just absolutely unpleasant. So it's like, I'm not going to scream at the woman, but it's like, can you like help us out? Like, you're just like, she's just absolutely no help whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you see the both sides of it. So like, I agree with you for
There's
that
always
95%. You know what I mean?
But
that's
the way you got to look at it. It's the cup half or more full than half empty or whatever, right? So I mean,
I got a notification just now actually too. Speaking of people working and such. Today we were I had some time to kill when I was dropping Hayden off at PT, and me and my buddy Alex linked up. I'm doing some work for him for his website and such. What happened?
That camera's shaking. Oh,
sorry about that. Yeah, it's probably my leg. I'm shaking over here.
Is that what it is? Yeah,
I think so. But we were walking around Westchester, and we came across this like acai place because I wanted to get him something to eat after his PT. And we were just talking to the two owners were in there. It was really quiet. It was Friday midday. Westchester's typically a busy town, but during the day it wasn't. School's not in session yet. Kids probably aren't there, et cetera, et cetera. We ended up talking to the two owners, man. They were just super nice. They they wanted to follow us on Instagram, posted us up on their Instagram, did the whole thing, and they just sent us a message. And yeah, it was really like just
social media, man. That's the way to do it.
Well, more so speaking on the action, like pleasant, like they were talking about like how they got started and all the whole 9 yards of like, she was like, I was in banking or something like that, and you know.
So I mean, we obviously went to that sushi place for.
Right, it's right next to there. It's one door down.
Well, so I don't know if you know, but so Fairmans closed. I'm like, you don't know what Fairmans is? I'm like, God. I mean,
I don't know what that is.
So Fairmans was the like legendary skateboard shop that was in Westchester for decades.
The one with Bam Margera.
Yeah. That's kind of where he got his start, right? I think he either taught or went to their summer camp. But I mean, it was like an institution, especially in the skateboard industry. I think if you talk to any legit skateboarder, they'll be like, "Oh, Fairmans, I know that, right?" And it was right on the corner, right up the street from where it is. And now it's like, I forget what it is. It's like some, it's like a green. I don't even know what the hell it is. It was like you go in there, and I think you hand paint plant pots.
That's awesome.
And then they put like banana or bamboo or something. I mean, you basically walk out.
Pottery.
I think you walk out with a plant that you. I think you did. I don't know, but anyway, it was like But it was just it's so sad when you see like a legendary place like that close down. I'm like, oh,
they probably couldn't afford the rent. I mean, we were looking at spots today, just cruising by, and we're like, oh, we saw places for rent. It's like less than 1,000 square foot. You're paying like through the nose. It's like $2,000, some change. It's like a mortgage payment for office space. And I can only imagine like some of the bigger spots down there. I don't know if they're godfathered in. It sounded like that place was a little bit more legendary than anything. But like the people we were talking to today, they're just like, yeah, like the rent down here, wouldn't live in the town, too expensive.
I mean,
you know what I mean? But it's a good town. I love the town of Westchester. It's super dope.
Yeah, I mean, most of the commercial real estate, I think the way that works is you sign like a pretty lengthy contract, and you have a starting rent, and it's fixed on how much it goes up every year. So you're not going to, so it's not like overnight, like they'll burn you and say, oh, we're going to charge you an extra $100 a square foot. It's it's you're paying $100 a square foot, and then it's 105. It goes up 5% every year for 10 years, whatever the length of the thing is. So it's typically predictable. But then when it comes to an end, right? If the place is the hottest place on the planet, then the landlord's going to hit you hard, or vice versa, right?
No,
if it's not, you hit them back and say, "You want me to stay? Drop the rate." So. Yeah. I mean, right now, I would think it would be really easy to get space because it seems like retail's dying on the vine.
I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of open vacancies in Westchester for certain things, but there's also a lot of places in there. Like, there's like there's like two coffee shops, like literally catty corner from where each other. It's just a big coffee town.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be, man. It's going to be every freaking store is going to be coffee because it's high profit margin. Because I'm like thinking, like, how many freaking shirts or sneakers do you have to sell to pay for the rent, right? I mean, coffee, at least, like if it's a $4 cup of coffee, and that's probably cheap, right? It's $3.75 a profit.
Yeah. Well, so we were walking around. The first place was called Twin Valley. Went there. Alex was like, all right, I'll take care of the coffees. I was like, all right, I appreciate it. So we went to another place, Griffin. little bit more of like a higher end, if you would say, a coffee joint, and we're like, let's get something to eat just so we could get some seating and talk about what we have to talk about. And I was like, all right, I'll get the sandwiches. And for 2 sandwiches, like after it was all said and done, it was like $20.
Oh, I know.
You know, for like, you know what I mean, like lunch sandwiches. You're eating it like that. But to your point of the brick and mortar stuff, it's dying. I mean, you could get a pair of sneakers however many days in a week. Like you're gonna get a pair of sneakers like if you're really balling, like once a month or something like that. But you can get a coffee every day you're going to work or something like that. So, but what were you saying? You would know what?
So I mean, the class started at like 7:45 in the morning. So the one day, I mean, talking about like how expensive shit is. We stopped at it's a place called the Speckled Hen. So I shouldn't be throwing them under the bus because it's great. It's a fabulous place. If you're in Stroudsburg, which is right outside of Lancaster. Lancaster. So we go there and we stop, and I mean, literally, we get 2 egg and bacon sandwiches on a bagel and a single cup of coffee because he was drinking water, and it was $28. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Man. And they probably made $26 in profit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
How much seriously
There's a Thomas English muffin and a couple eggs, and they probably got those from the farm around the corner. And
got the coffee the same place Maxwell House goes, and just made absolute killing off you.
Kudos to them. The coffee was hot as balls. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I was like, please don't spill this on my lap.
Some of the places. But I wanted to talk about something I actually saw in the news. I was trying to say, like, do you know what ProCreate is on the App Store? It's an application.
Yeah, drawing and...
Yeah, so 4 days ago, they released a statement from the CEO saying they are never going there. We're never going there. Creativity is made, not generated. You could read more at procreate.com/AI.
Wait. We're not going where?
So that's what they're saying. So they tagged it, #no AI art. And then it's like a video from their CEO basically getting into it, saying, basically going on an anti-AI campaign and kind of, in summary, just saying how, like exactly like it said, creativity is made and not generated. And a lot of people were kind of backing it. You know what I mean? But
so here's, oh God.
What happened?
So I have some thoughts on this. Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
So basically everyone was like, taking their side because, there is a lot of good things that come on it, but they're kind of positioning themselves to be in a spot where they're going to die on that hill.
They are going to die on that hill.
Because the way that it was really said, and I don't know if I really want to play the video, it says, their products speak for themselves, they hate generative AI, all that different type of stuff. And before you get into your take on it, my take on it really is just, like, I like the generative AI for the aspect that it saves a lot of time. As someone, I've told you in the past, like as someone who's been doing graphic design work or the whatever I don't want to sound cringy or like a cliche, but that creative type of work for a number of years, it saves a lot of time because before you would have to go in, mask around someone's entire body and, you can get into the nuances of it. Now you just click a button, select subject, delete background, etc., and it goes on and on and on. I use it quite a bit in my daily life, talking to some pretty high, like people who are in the space of like, photography or film or even A&Rs and music. Everyone's using AI for their cover arts, and that's just a common practice. So after hearing reputable people use it, I mean, kudos to the people who still grind and do it everything from scratch. I just don't think you should, like we said, die on the hill of AI. Yeah. But go ahead. I mean, I'm curious.
We probably have the same thought process. I mean, kudos to that guy for having the integrity to say it. But that's a company that's going to be dead in a year or two. Right?
You think so?
Well, I mean, ProCreate's obviously a monster.
It's a big,
right? I mean, they're a big app, but look, they're setting themselves up to be the dinosaur, and they're going to get struck by the freaking asteroid that's called AI, and they're going to get obliterated in the long run because there's going to be a hell of a lot of other apps that are going to come out that are going to have, incremental value to a whole bunch of people, right? And a lot of people who buy ProCreate are not, they're editing or they're just, they're using it to, they're not using it to raw create or completely from scratch. So, I mean, No, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously not a creative, so I don't necessarily feel the pain like those folks do. But yeah, I don't know, man. Cutting out a whole.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, real quick, just like some of the excuse me, some of the people are really like on their side with the whole thing. I mean, this one's from someone that says this will open up a whole new market of apps and tools that will begin marketing themselves as quote unquote AI free. They said, followed by, it's a good first steps towards like AI free stuff.
It'll over time become a niche product.
Yeah. Someone else said, if you know how to draw, you don't need AI, so there's zero reason for them to add AI features in the future. The joy of making things come from actually making them, which is something it seems like non-creative just can't grasp.
How many people go to the art store and buy a canvas and buy chalk and paint, right?
Yeah.
There's a market for it, and there always will be a market for it, right?
Sure.
For that very reason. But let's face facts. That has long since been a dead, a dying industry, or a very, I shouldn't say a dying industry, right? It becomes a niche market that contracts, right? So, sure, will there be a place for ProCreate in an AI world? Absolutely, right? Yeah. Because there'll be those people who only want to buy made in the USA. There's people that are going to only want to buy non-AI based applications to, their creative juices to be pure, but it is absolutely going to contract their customer base.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And if he's okay with that, God bless him. Right?
Yeah, no, and then the last one,
that dude's clearly made some money though, because that ProCreate is one of those monster apps.
It's by far the biggest
the ecosystem, right?
One,
that dude's made some money, so he's probably got some coin bank that he can, you can pull away and say "F this," right?
Yeah, I mean, Marquez Brownlee, one of the bigger creators in the whole tech space, said. Bookmark this. Such a fascinating announcement. ProCreate CEO goes on camera and makes it clear he hates generative AI and they will not integrate it ever into their products. Artists and users on social media celebrate. Take notes, Adobe. But technically, this is committing to never offering any of its features in their products. No matter how good or useful they may get, this is the future. An announcement to not add any features. I wonder if they will ever bend the rule someday. Because I mean, we're still early in the AI space, right?
I mean, the problem is he's also looking at it kind of in the wrong way, right? If you're a creative, like your mom and pop, and you're just doing it for fun and stuff like that, right? Okay, you don't want AI, but if you're a professional, like you. It's not only the creative side, but you also need to have a workflow that's as quick as possible to market, right? Yeah. And so I appreciate the fact that, hey, you want to draw something, but if it's something simplistic that can be done instantly versus me having to, actually spend 15, 20 minutes to just, recolor something. Why not take advantage of AI in that situation, right? Your workflow becomes quicker, your route to market becomes quicker, right? It's efficiency. That's productivity, right? So if you look at it from a casual perspective and just a creative, okay, I get it. But that's what's going to happen, right? That app right now is catering to both casuals and professionals. The professional market's going to be gone if they don't integrate AI, because those guys are going to look heavily at, time to market.
Yeah,
and
no, absolutely.
AI is going to help with that, whether you like it or not.
I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head, because, I mean, for
every once in a while, I feel, get it right.
Sometimes.
Yeah, we'll see.
The one thing here is a live test that came into my life last week or 2 weeks ago. I got a mutual connection, and I don't really market my services of like making thumbnails, doing any of this stuff, cover arts, anything. So this was a mutual connection from my friend, from Marcus. Everyone knows Marcus on the podcast, or friend of the show, if you would.
Theme song, Marcus.
Yeah, the theme song. He calls me up. He said, "Hey, a buddy of mine needs a quick thing." A quick flyer. He said he's willing to pay you X a number. Can you do it within the next 10 minutes? So it was a situation where speed and skill had to come together, where people will pay a lot of money for those two things alone.
Sure.
We had to design a flyer. He used AI to get the basis of the flyer. I had to go in, touch up a couple things, add the things, and he paid me that number that was agreed upon based on not Marcus's connection. Obviously, Marcus had a hand in setting it up, but the fact that we were able to get it done so quickly, which came from AI. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's like one of those things, like you said, cutting down that workflow of like, if I could type in some general ideas, throw it into a software, it pops out like, here's a good basis. I might not even use it, but at least it gives me into the space of like, I wouldn't have never thought to even have done that, or maybe I would have, but it would have took me a day to even come to that point to begin with. So, I mean, that's just a case of like, people will pay for speed and your skill set. So if you're able to leverage the AI thing, or if you, like you said, just want to start it from, ground zero, go out, buy that canvas, do it all from, more power to you. You have the option to do it. But I just thought with that monster company kind of being like, hey, I'm going to do it like that. Man, it takes balls to do it for sure.
I know, especially with the hottest topic on the planet, right? It's all AI, everything.
I know.
I get it. I mean, I do, but I think that that's the kiss of death over time. I mean, it'll probably always be around, but I have a feeling that's going to impact the long-term adoption of the actual product. Now, is it a subscription-based? I don't even remember.
No.
It used to be you paid for it outright.
You paid for it outright. I bought it for Hayden when he got his iPad. It was like $15, I think. It was $12.99 or something of that nature.
Yeah, so I mean, if he doesn't have exposure on the subscription side of things and people have already bought it, I guess he can get away with just saying, hey, and maybe he's even sitting there going, I've saturated the market and I'm not bringing in a lot of new folks. So everybody who was going to buy the app has probably already bought the app. I don't know.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and you kind of go into your own workspace with the app. So he's really creating an ecosystem. It's not really like, at the end of the day, it's a white screen and a pen, but he like the features that are kind of in it. It's
I
really
actually own it. So I'm pretty sure I own it. I don't use it too often because I'm not like you, but I mean, I think I have it because maybe I don't. I thought I did, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's very very interesting.
Oh, Photometer. It's one. I have. But anyway, no, I don't have it. So.
Okay. Two other things I had written down here, more in the video game space, but it's technology space. So there was a group of developers who came together, not related to Activision in any way, built a old Call of Duty game that everyone loved, put it on a Call of Duty base, so people actually had to go out, buy the base of the COD game, and then download the mod pack that was built by these independent individuals. Everyone loved it. They got on board. At the time, it was on sale for $20, the game that Activision was getting compensated for. More recently, I think they got a whiff of what was going on. So the release date from these guys, the developers, were called H2M of the pack. It was supposed to come out. Activision ups the cost to $40 for this old 6-year-old game, bro. Like long time ago, they upped the price, bro. It was on sale for decades, and well, not decades. If it was only 6 years old, but exaggerating the point, it was $20. They bumped it to $40, and they actually sent a cease and desist a couple days later. So they got all the revenue after people bought it for $40. Sent a cease and desist to the company.
Oh God!
And then they pulled it back. So everyone's pissed off at Activision right now. But again,
aren't mod packs legal or?
Yeah. But it's the IP of what it is, I guess, is trademarked because it's like a 1-to-1 replica of their old game. So it's kind of multi-level of trying to explain it. But long story short, they kind of screwed up a bunch of people's,
There we go.
Damn. But they screwed up a bunch of people's, with the game because they bought it. So I don't know. It's just
connection lost.
People are crazy, man. Activision being as big as they are, kind of screwed themselves there. But
every time I go through this, I talk about buying a new camera, and I never do it. I really just need to pull the trigger on this Insta360.
I want to bring up the other thing in the corner after this quick little topic. I just want to get a rapid fire your thoughts real quick. Starbucks has a new CEO, the guy that was Chipotle. You saw that? What did you think about that?
Well, so the cool thing for that dude is, I don't know if you noticed, right? Obviously, Starbucks is in Seattle. They're letting that guy commute from Southern Florida or California. So he can just get on the private jet and fly up, fly back.
In
I'm
a
like,
day?
you gotta be shitting me, man.
No, yeah,
What a deal.
Yeah, I saw he was the CEO of
Yeah, Chipotle.
Chipotle,
And they gave him like whatever. So
it was like 150 million or something like that.
I don't know the exact numbers. I mean, it was obviously a lot of money, but they gave him because he was gonna get bonuses and hit all these stock metrics in the next whatever it was. It was like a year or two. They looked and said, okay, if you had stayed with Chipotle, you would have made this amount of money.
Oh, so he left Chipotle.
Yeah.
Oh,
He goes, we'll match that, or Starbucks will match that, which ended up being a gazillion dollars or something. He's a pretty young guy too, if I remember correctly.
yeah, I don't know.
Young guy as a CEO. I think, I don't know, he's 40s or 50s. But
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it was a quick rapid fire thing. I just read the headline, didn't really dive too deep into it, but I was like, damn, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he did a good job, I guess, with Chipotle, but they kind of went through all that stuff where they were like kind of shorting people on their serving sizes and all that stuff. But back to the margins on coffee, man. I mean, Starbucks makes an absolute killing, I would imagine.
Yeah, Starbucks isn't hurting, that's for sure.
So I wanted to ask, because we're coming up on, as the people in the industry call it, tech. What is it? Tech Timber or something like that, or some, I don't know what the hell it's called. And it's a bunch of tech news coming out towards the Q4 side of things. Apple, you got a new display over there, but I wanted to ask more generally, when you're talking about like Apple in general, and maybe we've talked about this. You're a big Apple guy. What do you look for in their new products? Because I noticed they really just like say they're updating chips. What do you look for when you're seeing that? Like, what really excites you now besides, like, everything kind of just seems the same besides, like, they come out with, like, a thinner iPad or, like, an H2 chip or M2 chip or something. You know what I mean? Like, what's good?
Yeah. I tend to... Sorry, I got to get on mic. I'm trying to F with this freaking GoPro. Oh, it's hot as hell. That's probably why.
Oh,
GoPro, you suck for a long format. So I typically have been buying new gear when it goes bad. So I've been hanging on to stuff for a lot longer than I normally have, right? So I did buy the new, what do they call it, the Apple Studio display or whatever.
Monitor, yeah.
Which is stupid money, but it's funny, the LG monitor I had was from 2017. So it had a pretty good life, but it ended up fritzing out the other day, and I was like, screw it, and I ended up buying the Apple.
I got to go down there and check it out when we get down there.
It's
How's it
nice.
look?
I mean, it's like a headless, it's kind of like an iMac without the computer in it, right? So
Probably looks like my laptop.
yeah, so instead of spending $2,000, you spend whatever it was, $1,300, and you get the monitor with the iMac, right? And so my wife was like, "Why don't you just buy an iMac?" I'm like, I need a laptop, right? So it's a get chicken and the egg thing. But yeah, I haven't been buying new gear just for the sake of buying it, unless my previous thing has gone dead, or it gets to the point where the technology has just advanced so far that there's a significant leap in productivity. Because I mean, at the end of the day, right? I'm not really doing video editing or Photoshop manipulations and stuff like that where I would know the difference between an M1 Pro that I have now on my laptop and an M3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, does Safari run a little faster on an M3? Maybe, but it's not enough that I'm losing sleep over it.
That's a fair point.
So, yeah, I haven't really been jumping on the computer side of things, right? The phones... I say to myself that I'm only going to buy a new phone if there's some significant leap. And sure enough, every year I get a friggin' new phone. And part of it's because I have a family of 4, and I kind of cycle through having, AT&T, like, they just want to lock you in for as many years as possible. So they'll be like, yeah, upgrade your Apple phone and we'll pay for it. And really what it is they just give you a $30 credit for the next 3 years. So you're locked in for 3 years. So that's the kind of thing. But I seem to have gotten a new phone every year. But in my head, the only reason I would buy new computer gear, and really any technology gear, even though I seem to always have the latest and greatest, is if something isn't working or broken, or there's some significant, leap that's enticing enough, right? So I mean, for instance, right, I didn't want to buy a new action camera because I'm like, I have a GoPro, but the damn thing isn't really performing to the way it should. So I'm thinking about buying a new one. I might, but it's
yeah. I mean, in general, my headphone, I'm kind of the same way. I love the Apple AirPods, the Pros. I think they're the Gen 2s. I don't know which ones they are. But the right ear, the bass in the right ear is starting to rattle. So every time, I can't use the noise canceling and I can't use the transparency. I can only keep them on the normal mode. But when they're in the normal mode, it rattles in your ear. Yeah. So I was thinking, do I upgrade? Like, I heard a bunch of good things about the Pro Maxes, the over-the-ear ones, but they're kind of just like any other over-the-ear ones.
So I gave mine to Natalie.
Oh, okay. So you don't use them?
Because I never use them.
What about the Pros? Or the AirPod Pros?
That's what I have. So the AirPod Pros I use religiously.
Okay.
I bought the Air Maxes. I really thought I was going to use them more, but the problem is they're so fucking big that I don't want to. Like, I try and go as lean as possible when I travel.
Sure.
And the goddamn things will take up literally half my backpack, right? So I'm like, I wasn't carrying them as much as I thought I would.
Yeah.
And I don't dig the over the ear thing, to be honest with you. Even this, I'm actually, I think that bag you had on the table there, that's like that's one of those lapel mics.
Is it?
So I keep thinking about trying to use it. It's really good. I've actually used it for a couple of when I do presentations for work, I sometimes record them, and I use that, and the audio is fabulous, right? Cool. So I was actually thinking about testing it with one of the podcasts, and I forgot to do it. But I would prefer just to kind of feel loose and
walk
ready to go versus this, and it's
cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I am definitely a AirPod guy. Versus
30 minutes on this battery with GoPro. Is that ridiculous? No, this is not a GoPro battery, so in fairness to them, but God, man.
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I might just wait until to see what comes out with this new... because they do what's it called, WWDC or something like that.
So I think I literally just saw an announcement that September 10th they're announcing the new phone.
So hopefully they come out with new AirPods, and I'll buy those.
They could come out with the new AirPods. They usually try and do that with Christmas because that's banger.
Yeah.
That's the banger period for that kind of shit.
Fair enough, yeah.
I mean, you can only imagine how many of those things they'd sell between October and December 25th.
Probably a million.
Yeah, I mean, millions.
Yeah, millions. I went with a million thinking that's high, and for them that's probably low. So it's like
it's
but
$1 million.
What do you got over there, by the way? You have this on the desk.
What?
Do you want to review something, or was it not for that?
No. I was just bringing it upstairs. So,
okay,
I'll show. I mean, this is just crazy. So this is a straight razor.
I see. Okay, I thought that's what it was.
So I mean, if anybody knows, right? There's electric razors. Yeah. There's your safety razors, which is what your Bics and your things. And then the way it used to be done back in the Wild West in the old days was a straight razor, and you've probably seen it in the movies, right?
I've used one of those before.
It is a solid razor that you flip all the way over, and then you somehow you shave.
That's what we used in college when I was at Alvernia.
You used one of these?
Yeah.
Straight razor?
Straight razor. When I was at Alvernia, because my friend, he was either like going for his barber license or just had a bunch of straight razors, and he taught me how to shave my beard with a straight razor.
Holy shit. Wow, yeah. Cool.
So like you have to do it on like an angle. You can't go straight on.
I know. There's instructions in there, and it scares the shit out of me, right? Because you're on your freaking neck, and I'm like... I always wanted one. I hardly ever shave anymore, right? I usually just trim it down. I don't actually shave. But I always wanted one, and I never bought them because they're expensive as shit, right? I mean...
we only used the razor. Like, we literally just had the razor, and that was it. Like, we didn't have that, which...
Yeah, so, I mean, a legitimate, nice straight razor, these start at, like, $200 bucks.
Expensive.
So, I don't know what it was, but I get an email from the Art of Shaving. And they were like, today only, any straight razor for $50. And this is normally like $250. And it's legit. It's a German steel manufacturer. It's stainless steel. It's always on their website, and it's like $250. And I'm like, $50. I'm buying it. And
you're crazy,
I got it. And I'm like, I told Edith, I'm like, I'll probably never use it.
You're insane.
But I wanted it.
Yeah. I want to see the quality of it. I won't touch the.
It's legit stainless steel. I mean, it's.
Yeah. That's actually got some
It's a German, it's not like so they use some German manufacturer who has a name in the in this business. I can't see it, but yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things. I wanted it, so I bought it, and I'm like, I'll probably never use it, and. Yeah, there's a whole procedure. Like, how many times do you buy a razor, like a Bic razor, and get this in the box? Right?
Yeah, I think that's you. At that point, you keep the base of it for a lifetime.
This is the operating manual for the straight razor. So we should do a review. After I use it, I'll have look. This. How crazy is this?
He got he's holding three pages for those
sheets
people who are
listening. How you use the damn thing.
Yeah. Well,
and it's not like it's not.
That's legit, man.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what that was. I wasn't doing it to.
Yeah, I thought you were bringing it up. I didn't know if we were doing a product review.
It was down in my office, and I figured let me just bring it up and put it in the thing. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's about it for what have we been going for, man? I haven't seen it.
45 minutes.
Is there anything on your mind that you have to
Well, I mean, other than politics, no. And I don't know. Do you really? I don't want to talk about politics.
Okay, we don't have to talk about politics. I mean, so you lead the conversation with that.
Screw politics. I'm out.
The one thing, I mean, while we were talking about it, and I kind of talked to you about it a little bit last week, was it's been a while, but I was telling everyone I got that pistol we were talking about, and then I called you last week, and I was like, man, I really
want to buy.
I want to buy an AR. I want to buy an AR, and I think I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it next month or the month after because it's a pretty big commitment. I was going in over my head.
Yeah, you had no idea.
I didn't really have like an idea, and like I.
Well, you are looking at a premium product.
So like the one that I want is probably about $2,000, but that doesn't include like you need the attachments for it, and you obviously need a scope for it, which is part of the attachment spec. But like
you don't, but I mean you do.
You do. Okay, well, with that one, I don't know if it comes with the sights on the top or not. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
They all do. I mean,
they all do.
They'll come with shitty ones, right? And then actually, the Daniel Defense probably comes with really nice ones. They might even have mag pulls on them.
I don't know. I have no idea, but like
they have flip ups.
The way that we were talking about it was like
there.
The way we were talking about it is like you come up with this scenario in your head, right? And it's like I could buy a lower end AR, and then eventually I'm going to have to upgrade some of the internals. You're going to have to probably, just change up some of the stuff in it from trigger to whatever. And then it's going to add up, right? And then
but you shouldn't have to do any of that with a Daniel Defense.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying, like, or I can get a more premium rifle and then get the Daniel Defense and then not have to do any of that and focus more so like the other one.
If you bought a Frankenstein, which is what I ended up doing, right? I bought a Frankenstein, right? It's assembled from a bunch of pieces. Like I have a Smith & Wesson lower.
Oh, really?
I have a Daniel Defense upper. I've got, Magpul hardware all over it.
I didn't know that.
And all of it was kind of bought separate and stuff like that. And it was to the point where I had the ACOG on the top, and then I'm like, well, okay, that does, and then I had offset. I was buying offset hard,
optics.
Optics, or not even optics, just the sight in case there's something ever goes wrong with this, like the battery dies. It's not really a battery; it's like nuclear waste, but it's crazy. So I was getting off-site. Sights and and then you're going to get a sling and it's a whole bunch of shit.
And then on top of all that, I don't even have the ammo. I have to buy the ammo, which is like the last thing that I kind of thought about. And like you really get ammo for a good price around 1,000 rounds.
That is probably the number one lesson I could tell any. I'm obviously not a crazy gun guy who's doing podcasts and stuff like that, but that is probably, as a beginner coming into the gun industry, pick a caliber in your rifle and pick a caliber in your pistols and stick with that caliber. Don't do like I have. I have 9mm, I have 40, I have 380, I have 5.7. So was that 5 different calibers, and managing to bring in ammo to sort of have your way with all that is a pain in the ass.
I heard a bunch of people say that.
Do it. Same thing with rifles, right? 5.56 is probably where you're going to land, but if you get an AK, it's okay. Now I get
6.2.
Or you want 300 Blackout, or you want 6.5 Creedmoor Grendel or some shit. It gets out of control in a hurry, and the next thing you know, you've got 75 guns, of which there are literally 30 different calibers, and you got to have ammunition for all those 30. It's don't do it.
And I think
like 9mm, stick with it.
Yep, and I think 5.56 is the most economical at this point, because it's like, for what we're trying to do, it's the most economical, because like you could buy. I think when we were shooting John's, the 308, you're spending about like $1.15 a round.
No,
I think he said
for
that.
5.56. No,
not 5.56. 308. I said.
Oh,
like the 308. You're paying.
Sorry,
you're paying about like $1 and some change for it. The 5.56, I think, you're probably down to 50 cents a round.
Probably below that, actually.
Maybe a little bit under. So you're kind of in that ballpark. I know for my 9, I bought 1,000 rounds. Not shitty ammo, not top of the top ammo. It's like 26 cents a round, which
typically
is pretty decent.
It's 250. It's about even 9mm. Like, I'm trying to think, was that 1,000 rounds for 250? About 26 cents a round or so, give or take. Does that sound about right?
That's what I bought it for, 26 for 1,000. And that's where you really get the price break, is when you hit 1,000. I mean, you get some at around 250, maybe 250, starting to get into it at 500, but definitely at 1,000, they'll kind of balance it out. So it's like, I'm going to have to spend $250 to get like something. That's just the start. The start of it, right? So it really gets up there, man. So like I was calling Joe, and I was just like, man, this I might be in over my head a little bit with everything, but I definitely want to do it. And like the cool thing about it too is like all the videos that I see, people go to like actual training courses, or like the courses where you could like you're running around and you're kind of like not like clearing buildings or nothing.
Well, see, that's why we were having this discussion. I told you to get the what was it, the MK18 or whatever.
Like a smaller.
Because I mean. That's the confusion that a lot of, if you're doing like the 3-gun or the coursework and stuff like that, I guess you can use a full, 16-inch plus barrel AR, but why not go with an SBR or some sort of, shorter, or a pistol grip thing? Yeah. Like, it's funny, I have the AR, but even when I go to the range, the majority of the time I'm pulling out my Ruger or short barrel or my pistol brace and just doing that because it's usually close work, right?
Yeah, that's probably going to be the next one. I want a longer.
So I have both. Right? So
I want to be.
Here I am. I'm like, but I mean, if I really only had a choice, you was like, you can only have one rifle. I'd be like, I don't know. I mean, I'd probably go with a
smaller, a little bit more of a practical thing. I mean, even if we're talking about like
close quarter combat, that's where it's all going to end up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you're talking about home defense, I wouldn't not even pick any of those. I'd probably go with a shotgun.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like it's just like everyone's going to have a different opinion.
Don't worry, you're going to get one of those.
Yeah, then it's like eventually.
You'll be like, oh, I got to get a
shotgun.
I got to get a Benelli M4 fully tacked out.
Yeah, is that the one that John Wick used?
Yes, it's the one. So you are going to trust me. Everybody, we've all been there. Like, oh God, I got to get an M4. So I ended up buying like a. What the hell did I buy? I couldn't afford an M4. It was like it's literally a $2,000 shotgun, right?
Yeah,
might be even more.
Forget that, dude.
So I ended up. What did I ended up getting a. I think Smith and Wesson owns them. God, who is it? Because Jerry Michalak. It's Jerry Michalak's gun or shotgun, right? His branded gun. I forget who the brand is, but.
Is it like a sawed-off?
No. It's a semi-automatic. It'll hold 6 or 7 shells, 12 gauge. It's fun. I mean, shotguns are interesting. I mean,
you can't really shoot them a lot of places, at least that we've been to.
So the reason you can't, like at Glen, which is the they
Closest
have
one. Yeah.
they have a shotgun range, and really what the difference is you can't use backer boards. You can't even really use, like, you know how if you go to a lot of them, they have the wood across, and then they'll have the foam or the styrofoam kind of stuff, and then you just staple up your things, and that shit gets shredded, and they just replace them every couple weeks. You can't really do that with shotguns because it has that blast pattern. It'll destroy the wood. So what you need is kind of what I've seen is if they allow you to shoot shotgun, it's usually some sort of a wire mesh.
That's what
system.
we use. Yeah. At the range that we got, it's like a bird netting type deal, but they don't let us do it even there, but for whatever reason.
Well, it's almost like rebarb. It's like if you go to Ackland with me one time, they have a shotgun range, and that's how you can set up things, because you're basically just blasting into a wire mesh, and it's like chicken. It looks like chicken wire, but it's much thicker. Where the shotgun isn't going to actually break the metal. At least I could tell, and that's. I think I'm trying to think. Some of the other places will let you do it, but I would imagine it's got to be really hard on the framing, and they're probably,
Yeah, I think there's just like too much, like with shotguns, it's really involved.
They won't let you shoot buckshot. You'll have to shoot slugs.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I thank you for reminding me, dude. When we went to the range the last time. These guys were shooting like black powder rifles the last time we were going there. Like, he had this big getup, and like he was like he was really into it. You could tell he had a bunch of different ammos and such that he filled himself, and he was telling us like how much is like gunpowder in it. It's like he's measuring it and doing the whole thing, and you could actually track the bullet. A bunch of different ammos and such that he filled himself, and he was telling us like how much is like gunpowder is in it. It's like he's measuring it and doing the whole thing, and you could actually track the bullet going to the target, and it stung terrible.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
That's the same guy who is giving kudos to ProCreate, right? I want original, hardcore, old school. Forget all that semi-automatic shit.
Load your own ammo.
Yeah, that's balls to the wall.
Yeah, man, he was going crazy, but
there's obviously a market for it, right? They sell them. You can walk into any of the gun stores and get a black muzzle rifle today, right? But
that's a market I don't think I'll ever get into.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's a small niche market, but technology and advancements overshadow everything. But there's still always going to be that niche market. It's a classic example of where that ProCreate guy's going to end up. He's going to land as the black muzzle loader of the firearms industry, right? He's going to have a market. He's going to have a customer base and have a great reputation, but it's not going to be nearly as big as it is or could be if he went with the times.
I agree. And
more power to him.
I think in the next podcast we got to talk about the whole debate right now between the LLPO optics. I think they're called Is it LLPO? I don't know. The 1:6 or 1:8 or 1:12 like variable zoom optics versus like you have the ACOG or the red dot, because oh man, you go on Reddit and it's literally like a fest. It's like between two different people. Like, oh, you don't need.
Yeah,
that
but so
shit
here's the deal.
there.
I mean, you really can't make the comparison with an ACOG because the ACOG is really about quick on-site acquisition, right?
Yeah,
you're not
low
scoping
distress.
in, right? You're not stationary. You're on the move, right? That's why all the military guys use it, right? They're basically on foot moving, and they need to get quick acquisition on a target and just throw a couple rounds down to hit center mass, hit something, right? So that's what the ACOG's all about. That's why I have it, because I'm like, I've gone and I've tried to do, even with the AR, you could go out to, you could comfortably go out to 400 yards, but I'm like, I don't know. I mean, everything I can think of in my head and any practical application for it's going to be 100, 150 in, right?
Right. I mean, and typically with
this thing stopped too, which is
everything turned off.
This is going to be a fucking nightmare.
Did the podcast turn off?
No.
Oh.
So the video stopped, but I'm still recording the audio. The problem is the audio is short on this, but now it's short on that. So I'm going to have to cut and paste. It's going to be such a nightmare for this lousy 3 minutes that we're chatting here about this. A different thing. That's why I just, for me, it's like I like the idea of sort of the close quarter combat. So I drop the ACOG on my AR or the pistol rifle, and it's fabulous, man. It's a great combination. You just boom on a couple rounds, and then you're off and running.
Well, two things on that defense. Like, I mean, the general rule of thumbs, right? It's like for every like times magnification, it's 100 yards. So it's like if you have a 1 times or a red dot, you're good for like 100 yards. Or if you have a 3.5 like you have with the ACOG, that's supposed to be good for 350 yards. So I get that, and most of the time, you're like you said, it's 150 probably and below, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, I would tell you to buy the AR and get a red dot or a red or green dot, and just use that for. Because I mean, that's what, and then in my head, I'm like, this is where you get into this mess, right? I'm like, if I'm going to go to the range to shoot distance, I'm not doing that with an AR. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy some. 50 cal. No, I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy like a 6.5 Grendel. I'm going to buy some other variation of the AR platform, right?
Sure.
That's meant for distance, right? So I wanted a Grendel forever, right? A 6.5 Grendel. It's basically it's a different type of AR round,
like a SPR type deal. Is that what it's called?
No. So I mean, generally a Grendel is probably going to be a 20 or a 24 inch barrel. So it's an AR, right? You can actually use AR lowers for the round. The upper would be different, but and that easily will go out to 1,000 yards. Because I'm like, if I'm going to actually take the time to get a scope and optics,
scope's half the battle, man.
It seems to me at that point I want to be able to neutralize the target as far away as possible. So the AR platform's not really the best for that, right? So
man, scopes are a whole mess in themselves, dude. Because you're gonna be like at that point, if you're shooting for 1,000 yards, I'm just going quick calculation. You're probably paying $1,000.
Yeah, easily for a good one. I mean, you get into a loophole or whatever, you're going to be like, boom, boom.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but I don't know. That's
dude. You have.
Part of the debate,
you are
man.
just scratching the surface of a hobby that will cost you dearly. That's the beauty of it.
It's
there's a reason why I have a closet full of. You asked me how many guns do I have? I don't know. There's I don't know, 10, 15, 12, something like that. And everybody's like, well, what the hell do you need that many guns for? Here's the classic example, right? I mean, if you're an outsider, you're like, why the hell do you have all those guns? Yeah. Well, what are you using it for? Right? Yeah. Well, why do you need to shoot 1,000 yards? So, maybe I don't. But I mean, if you're hunting, right? I mean, you're not using an AR to really hunt ever because it's not going to have the stopping power or the range, right? Yeah. So... it's just like everything. You have a use case and you have a tool for that application, right? And they're all different, right? So
I think, I mean, in the way to describe it to most people, kind of on the outside looking in, because my girlfriend Taylor was kind of adamant at first about me getting like a firearm in general, and then the more she sees me going out and how serious I take it, like even when I'm showing like my friends if they want to see it, or I would never really come out and say like, hey, do you want to see this? But they, when I asked to see it, like the procedure in doing so, like clearing everything in front of them and show, like kind of taking it more serious, and she seeing that makes her feel more at ease. But it's more of a sport at the end of the day of like, going out with your friends, going out, and just shooting the shit for 2-3 hours and, having a good time. And that's kind of exactly it. Going to get lunch afterwards. And it's kind of like the whole thing of just doing it for you could have a defense thing, but also at the same time, it's a hobby at the end of the day.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's just like everything.
Some people golf.
That's true. And I mean, it's
fall victim to that, but it got yeah. So you never know, but
I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, you already are. So, like I said, you'll have fun like taking it apart and stuff like that. So
I know I will.
But yeah, I mean, good. I mean, Daniel Fence, good choice. I mean, you won't go wrong there. And like you said, you'll just have to buy the cosmetic stuff. I call it cosmetic, but
the attachments,
all the furniture for it, right? Sure. So, I mean, that's it. And that shit's pretty reasonable. You just go to the Magpul catalog and boom, 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 check off the list.
I think we should wrap it, but
we're over an hour now. That's why the second camera died. So it's Yeah, this camera thing's a mess.
You're gonna have fun stitching it all together.
It's funny. Actually, remember I said I was on that B&H thing, and I forgot that they had the podcast, the B&H podcast thing. So prior to that, they said, "Do you have any questions that you want answered?" And I actually responded, and I said, "What do you recommend for entry level long format cameras?" And sure enough, they came back with what I expected, right? Which is get a VC or a
DSLR.
No, not even a camera. What the hell are the big ass cameras? Not the camcorders.
Okay.
But they're digital camcorders, right? And they're kind of designed. The ones I think they recommended a Panasonic. And it was like, I mean, they're like $1,000 too, and I'm like, I ain't gonna spend $1,000 on a freaking camera. I mean,
at that point, if you're in the bracket of $1,000, there's you might as well get a Canon.
Yeah, but
or
I
something
mean,
like
clearly, action cameras are not the right choice. This Canon is actually badass. I mean, it basically the reason this stopped wasn't because it overheated. It literally has a 1 hour limit.
So we hit the hour mark and it reset.
Yeah, so I mean, I could have immediately turned it back on and we could go, right. And this isn't hot. I mean, it's warm, but the Canon, it's the PowerShot V10. It's kind of a funky thing. This is kind of for video blogging. So this one I would definitely recommend, but forget the GoPro action camera. And I'm assuming the Insta Go 360 V4 or whatever the hell it is, or 4, whatever. That one's cool because it's got the 360 degree.
Right. So will we just put that right here?
I think so.
In the center of the table?
Yeah, it'll blur. I would imagine it fish bowls it or fish eyes it. So, it'll probably have us in perfect focus, but everything else will be blurred, which is cool, right, in this room.
Yeah. You can just put them side by side.
So I think I'm going to end up pulling the trigger on the damn thing just to tell you know what it is. I get it from Amazon. Look, Amazon don't listen, right?
Oh God,
I won't get it on Amazon Vine, but I can get it on Amazon and use it for 29 days. And if I decide this is just as bad as the GoPro, I can return it, right? Which is the shit thing for Amazon, but that might be the way to go.
Expect 29 episodes of the podcast. We're going to use it every single day.
In 360 view, and then it won't work.
Yeah,
but I mean,
every day.
It's probably worth getting it and trying it, and it'll coincide with my vacation, which means I can use it there to test it out and really work it over. So maybe that'll be our first review too. Maybe that's not a bad idea. So maybe I buy it.
We review it.
And then we do a review, and I use a bunch of clips from Bermuda and see. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's do that. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, we could do.
And then we'll do the podcast, and we'll do a very comprehensive end-to-end, using it as an action camera and using it as a podcasting camera, and does it hold water?
Next time we'll rent a car and review it as our own, like all these car YouTubers.
I'll throw it on the Ducati.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, actually today we're it's again small talk, but I saw a Lamborghini Urus, like one of the newer ones.
Yeah,
that thing's crazy looking, man.
It's a Porsche Taycan or whatever. What's the Porsche? Cayenne.
Cayenne, yeah.
It's a
Cayenne
turbo, with a body kit.
Whatever.
It's not. It's fucking.
Oh man, it was so nice. It was like this, like really nice, like.
The only person that would buy that car is people who have just more money than they know what to do with, right? If you got a shit ton of disposable income, you're like, I'm just buying the best or whatever. I'll buy it. But I mean, honest to God,
it was really nice.
If you're a sports car junkie and no one's ever buying one of those.
No, I think because I don't know, I'm taking a rough shot here. If that's a $250,000 car, you're probably paying $200 or $2,500 a month if you're
easily,
easily, doing any. But for that, you're in the tax bracket of like a Lamborghini Urus or something. Not Urus. A Huracan. The more sporty two-door one. So yeah, I don't know, but it was cool looking just as an observer.
Fucking real world or 1% problem. Tax those bastards, whatever it was. But what's the new? No,
no, you're asking the wrong.
They're not paying enough.
Yeah. So your girl Kamala is going to be the president.
Fuck that. Let's end with that. End with the FU.
73 in the bag.
I mean, after anybody who's a Democrat who's lasted through the last 20 minutes of us talking about guns and firearms probably isn't here at this point, right? So we're only talking to the conservative and Republican crowd, or independents that lean that way. So Well, you can get away with saying "F you, Kamala."
There you go.
Unless, of course, they demonetize us, and which means that we, instead of making no money, we make no money. So, F
we're
all
not
of you.
losing anything. All right, let me get off of here.
All right, love it. Peace out.
All right, see you.
Thanks.